Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. It's been a busy weekend of FA Cup action with the headline news seeing Premier League leaders Liverpool beaten by Championship strugglers Plymouth Argyle. We'll talk about that game shortly, but we've got Alan in the car. He's just finished doing co-coms for Aston Villa's Spurs game. So we're going to talk about that one and the game we did yesterday with Birmingham City against Newcastle, and then let Alan close his eyes in the back of his car. Are you going back to Newcastle?
Yeah, heading back to Newcastle now. So we'll be, 4 hours or something like that, yeah.
Okay, well, you can plenty of time to rest.
Yeah.
Let's start because on Friday's episode, of course, we did our draft teams.
Oh my God. What a disaster. You know what? Sorry, guys. But why I picked Anthony Robinson. You know what? I thought we was doing it defending Spurs, midfielders, then strikers. I've had some not abuse. I've had some right banter about my team. And for someone who plays fantasy football, I feel ashamed. But I thought it was fantasy football. I'm going to reiterate that again.
Just lay low for a couple of months, Micah, and then everyone will forget, and then you can come back.
You took a bit of stick, didn't you? I went and had a look on Twitter. And on Instagram and some of the comments about your first pick. So funny. So funny.
One of those messages is here, Mike. I've got it. It's from Ashish Slamtani, who wrote, as someone who plays fantasy football, and after all the emphasis on fantasy from Big Meeks, I took the liberty of adding up the FPL points for each team. The irony that Gary's team still totals 100 plus more points than Micah's is brilliant.
No, I said next week's fixtures. So let's do it on next week's fixtures, shall we? And if we do that, you're not allowed more than 3 players from each team, Gary. Okay. So it's not fair, really.
Well, you're only as good as your last draft, as far as I'm concerned. And here are the results. And I must say, this, gentlemen, is an emphatic victory for the boy Lineacre. 78% went with me. Alan, 14%. Micah, 8%. That is on Instagram. And on X, I got 75%. Alan, 20%. And Micah, a meager 5%, of which most votes seem to have come from an area around Harrogate.
Micah, you've let yourself down, you've let your family down, you've let everyone down. You've let your football fantasy fans down. All over the world, everyone's disappointed in you.
Disaster. Absolutely. I can only apologise. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh my!
Nobody got hurt in the making of that draft, Micah. Don't worry, except maybe Anthony Robinson for the stick he's had. Bless him. He's had a really good season. Alan, that was a good game, Villa Spurs. I really enjoyed it. It was,
me too.
Spurs were poor in the first half, but second half was end to end. Atmosphere seemed like it was rocking in there.
It was brilliant. It was great to be there. It was a great atmosphere. What a start to the game. I felt sorry for the goalkeeper because it should have been such a basic save from Ramsey. But Spurs were terrible in that first half. And then you can tell that they've been given it off the manager at half time. He's given them a right rocket because they come out and pressed high, had more energy, had a bit about them. At least they were prepared to put a tackle in the second half, which was very different to the first half. And then Villa go and get their second goal. So, big problems at Spurs. I know about the injuries and all of that, but there's definitely discontent. You can hear the fans singing about Levy out and everything else. But, Villa should have scored. To be fair to the goalkeeper, after his mistake in the first minute, he did make 3 or 4 really, really good saves after that.
Can I just ask you, Al, you was at the game and you can see things a little bit more clearly. What's the confidence look like with the Spurs players?
The goalkeeper, other than his mistake, I thought did really well. Young Archie, some of these players, it's the experienced ones that you're asking for a little bit more from. You're more from Bentancur, more from Kulusevski, more from Son, the captain. You missed a sitter in the first half, Son, but you want them to step up a little bit more because out of this last 2 or 3 months. I think the youngsters have sort of shone more than anything, and I think that's a great credit to them. But there's a complete and utter lack of confidence, and at times a lack of fight, because I was expecting some reaction after Thursday's game against Liverpool, after they got, I think, fairly criticised, where they didn't have a shot on goal and really didn't put in a shift at all at Anfield. I was expecting them to come out in the first 10 or 15 minutes and give it a right good go, whereas it took till the second half for them to do that, and that would be worrying for me.
Do you think, though, possibly, I mean, I don't want to make excuses, but you said you expect more from the first half, but then you concede after 1 minute. It's like a dagger in the back, isn't it? It's like, oh, here we go again, and you've just conceded 4 Anfield, and you can see why that might crush confidence. And it's a lot of young players in there as well.
It's a big ask for the young players.
Yeah, it is.
No, I agree with that. After a minute, you're 1-0 down. But even after that, you think, come on, then what have you got? Show us what you've got. At least have a fight and a bit of bite about your energy, and none of that in the first half. And it took till the second half to get a rocket at half time off the manager, which obviously they did, for them to show any of that. And that would be worrying for me.
They had a tactical tweak though as well, didn't they? I think in the first half there was a bit too light in midfield with Kulusevski, Bentancur and Bergvall. They're all good players in their own right, but they needed Bissouma to come on the pitch. I think maybe even earlier. Mikey Moore, unfortunately, I think he's been taken off at half-time in his 2 last games. He's doing really well in Europe, but he's finding it difficult.
He did hit a great cross for Son's chance, though. That was a really good ball in his, and he's only 17, isn't he?
No, but he's really good. But because Spurs have been struggling, he's not been able to show his best self. And when you're playing in sometimes a lesser team in Europe, he looks really good. So I was gutted when he got brought off at half time.
You're right about the midfield. I made the point in co-coms about how easy it was for Villa to just play right through the middle of Tottenham, because there was no bite in there. So he had to do something at half time and change that. And it was a bit harsh on young Mikey Moore, but someone had to come off because they had to stiffen up in the midfield, because it was too easy for Aston Villa.
I would agree with that. And Aston Villa were very strong in midfield, I would say. But McGinn
they are
was
very
excellent.
strong.
And you gave Morgan Rogers quite rightly, I think, man of the match. I mean, God, he keeps improving, doesn't he?
He's a proper player, by the way. He's going to be around for a long time at the very top. Barring any injuries, the way he runs with the ball and handles the ball in really difficult situations, he makes it look so easy, so comfortable on the ball. And he's going to be he is already a really, really good player, but he can go out and achieve whatever he wants to, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I think he's very different to normal midfielders in terms of, when Al talks about breaking the lines, he's got that acceleration to get away from his marker, which makes him special. And then he talked on the pod about scoring more goals, getting more assists, and he's doing that. I think, we talk about England, he's got to be in the next squad, definitely, because he adds something different.
I was impressed with substitutions that Villa made as well in forward positions, with Asensio coming on and Rashford coming on. Looked as if he had a bit about them both, and they were a threat when they come on. I mean, they've got injuries defensively, but in forward positions they look pretty strong now.
Yeah. Asensio's back heel for that chance that fell to Morgan Rogers was a beautiful thing. And
lovely,
Rashford, I thought Rashford looked lively. He had a couple of good runs, a nice little nutmeg. Was a threat down that left-hand side. So, hopefully this is the little bolt that he needs and getting back playing well again, because there's so much talent in there.
It has to be, guys. I mean, I said it again. I said it's like a last chance saloon. He's been given another opportunity at a football club with a top manager who wants to get the best out of him, and it's up to him now. But he made a good start today when he come on as a substitute. I thought he had a bit about him.
Yeah, they've got a lot of injuries at the back, Villa. Disassi should help that. The new signing they've got from Chelsea. The other new man, I just want to mention, we flipped back to Spurs briefly. I thought Tell showed a couple of nice bits, and that was an exquisite finish.
Yeah, but that's what I mean about you don't have to get to the byline all the time. You can put crosses in, and that was a great cross that Kulusevski put in. And he did really well, Tell, to get on the end of it, and it was a really clever finish. So hopefully that'll give him a bit of confidence and belief that he sort of belongs there and he can help Spurs get through this period.
He's got that quality though, hasn't he? He's got that quality. He's still on a young, he's still learning, but totally agree with Alan on that point. Good little movement and just finished off. Just give him a little bit of confidence as well because like you said earlier on, Son's he's not really playing with the confidence we've seen of old, even him just taking so many touches, Normally,
you see that in the second half when he passed it.
I was thinking to myself, he's surely not going to pass here. Son of old would have took a touch.
What football does to you,
bent that into the corner.
To your head, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
It just
Son full of confidence would have moved that one touch out his feet and shot, or the little step or whatever. There's no way when he's scoring goals and full of confidence that he's even thinking of passing that.
So Aston Villa go through. We're recording this, as we said, on Sunday evening. The draw is on the One Show. That'll be today when you're listening. So I think 7:00 that show. So it'll be interesting to see who gets who. Newcastle will be in that draw, Alan. We were at the game. That was a belter as well, particularly the first half.
Great game, wasn't it? Yeah, I've done really well this weekend for FA Cup games. Who got lucky?
We got lucky. In terms
I
of
thought
seeing two good games.
Look at him, he's on
Don't
the
get too defensive.
Yeah, we got lucky with the games. Yeah, we got yesterday and today. I did with both games. Yeah, it's been a great FA Cup weekend. I think it's been superb. Yeah, it was a proper good old fashioned cup tie, wasn't it? Where there was crunching tackles, lots of incidents to talk about, a couple of dodgy decisions here and there, and
an
unbelievable goal. Yeah, an unbelievable goal. Yeah, so it was a great FA Cup tie, and thankfully Newcastle just scraped through.
That's some strike from Iwata, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Oh, wow, it really was.
Yeah. On the half volley, Micah.
Yes, we can all agree that is a half volley, Alan. Because it just bounced, yes.
It just bounced.
Right height.
On the way up. Yeah. On the way up. Yeah, it was some hit. I mean, cool.
Wasn't it?
But, Newcastle got through, Alan, and he was kind of pushed into making quite a few changes, having played in midweek. And they did well, particularly after a bad start, conceding in the first minute.
No, absolutely. When you're making that many changes, I think it's bound to have an effect somewhere, and it did with them conceding early. But they came back, and it was a hard-fought victory. It wasn't free-flowing football. I don't think it ever was going to be, because I think Birmingham did really well, got some good players, made it difficult. The crowd was up for it. The players responded to the crowd, so it was always going to be tough. So Newcastle had to work so hard for it.
Yeah, you can see why they're top of League One, can't you? They're too good for that league. They'll probably do quite well in the Championship as well, and they've got obviously good financial backing as well.
What about Callum Wilson though? No matter what, he just always manages to score. He's in the right place at the right time. Who's the lad who missed it on the line, Alan?
Will Asula, yeah.
He missed it on the line. And then Callum Wilson just there to just tap it home.
I think I'll be going in the dressing room at the end and saying, how good was my assist?
He had his head in his hands. He was distraught.
He actually played well, I thought, Asula. He should have scored, but he did do well for both the goals, but he should have scored, yeah.
You know what's going to happen now, don't you? You've not won anything for 70 years. You're going to win back-to-backs like two red buses or two black and white buses arriving at the same time.
Oh, Gaz, please don't. I mean, can you imagine? I hope so. I really hope so.
Do you want another bet?
In the final of one.
Let's have another bet. Come on.
We'll get when we get Plymouth in the draw tonight at home. That'll do.
Ooh, you sure about that?
I don't know. We'll come to Plymouth after the break. That was an extraordinary performance from them. No one saw that coming, I don't think. Well, safe travels, Alan.
Thank you.
We'll let you go. And well done this weekend. 2 games back to back.
Yeah, that's how you do it, Micah. Back to back. 2 days in a row. It's called work.
Well, you cheated, really, didn't you? Cole comes. I mean, it's 90 minutes work. It's not a full day, is it? Let's be honest. When you go into the studio and you got to go before, halftime, afterwards, you do the game at the start, minute 1, minute 90 odd, you're done.
What you mean you're on air for about 8 minutes before, about 8 minutes at half time, and about 10 minutes at the end. We're on air for 90 minutes talking.
I will say one thing, we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, Micah Richards will still be with me.
Cheers, boys, thanks.
Welcome back to the Rest is Football. We're in the second half now. Alan's been subbed at half time. Well, he's not been subbed, he's just been sent off in his car. But Micah Richards is still with me. Well, we should start really with the story of the fourth round. And that would be Plymouth, who've been struggling desperately at the bottom of the Championship this season, beating the team that have taken all before them in the Premier League.
They were brilliant. Absolutely outstanding.
Defensively, I thought they
from
boys
start
at the back.
Well, Liverpool was always going to have the ball, wasn't they? But it's very hard to stay in that structure for that long. How many times have we done games, especially in the cup, or the League One or Championship or League, whoever team it might be, they're gonna suffer. Come 60, 70 minutes, and Liverpool did have chances. But that centre-back, Katic at the back, was heading absolutely everything. Yeah. I've not seen anything like that.
The only thing he lost in that game was his tooth. he won everything else.
And then if it got past him, the goalkeeper, Hazard, was brilliant as well. I just thought for a team performance, you know where you say you need your team to be together. You need that cohesion. You need that chemistry and the fight and the energy. They just had everything. And I just thought it was a brilliant performance all round. Yes, on the ball, they weren't that great. They was trying to play long balls, stretch Liverpool at times, but it worked in the end. I just thought it was a really good watch.
Yeah, I thought the same. I was convinced that Liverpool would score late on and then probably beat them easily in extra time, but it didn't prove to be. Do you think, I mean, it's hard to be critical of Liverpool this season, Arnie Slot, but I just wonder whether he's perhaps his inexperience of cup competitions in this country and how small clubs can rise up for the occasion, and whether, because that wasn't just resting a few players, was it? They weren't even on the bench, the big guns. And I understand why he would do it. I totally understand, because they've got so many games, and if they've got to sacrifice something. But I just wonder whether he underestimated perhaps teams in the lower leagues. I don't know.
No. I think it's the right question to ask, but I would say no, because correct me if I'm wrong. A couple of seasons ago, Liverpool was going for 4 trophies, and they only ended up with the FA Cup and the League Cup. And out of all them trophies, if you would have won the Champions League and the FA Cup, or the Premier League and the League Cup, or whatever way, one of the big two is what I'm saying. So I'm thinking now, of course you don't want to go out of a competition, but would you risk your players at this vital part of the season when you've come top of the Champions League, you're first in the Premier League, you're in a League Cup final? So I totally understand why he did. And it would be disrespectful to the players that he brought in to say that they couldn't win the game today with the players that were on that pitch because they're all good enough players. They just got beat by the better team on the day. They rode the luck at times, Plymouth. But yeah, I mean, I just think he's got bigger things to think about.
But just to play devil's advocate here a little bit, perhaps stronger bench?
Correct.
Maybe Trent and Mo and some of your big ones, just in case. But maybe he's just gone, right, these players need a few days. I don't know what he's done with them, whether he said, right, take 2 or 3 days off. Something like that. So I totally understand that.
But don't forget, guys, they've got a game against Everton.
I know, on Wednesday, yeah.
Also, and that's a massive. You win that game. I think that puts them 9 points clear if my memory serves me right. I just think if there was a game to lose, it was that one. You don't want to lose games, of course not, but I think Slot knows exactly, what the lower league teams can bring in the FA Cup.
Fair enough. The other game played today was Wolves. We've got producer John, big Wolves fan. He's full of beans and chuff. Says the Wolves played really well. I would agree with him.
Wolves were brilliant, and I've backed Wolves for a long time now, just because of the players that they have in the squad. And I know we talk about Cunha a lot. Cunha, of course, gets player of the match again today. But I just thought the whole team was very good. I think Juan was really good before he come off injured. Guedes as well at times. With Guedes, he's such a good player technically, and he gets into right positions. And sometimes they run into each other's spaces. But if he just have a little bit more composure in front of goal, or the final pass, or just be a little bit more clinical, he's a really good player. Semedo as well does a really good job for Wolves. I just think now, playing against a Blackburn side who were unlucky, in all honesty, they had a goal disallowed, or they would have put them 1-up. And it looked like he was onside, but they reacted well to that. And they was playing with confidence. It's almost like that freedom of not having the Premier League where they're at times having to defend for most of the games. They just played with freedom today.
You were at the Orient Man City game, and it looked a bit bleak. You were standing outside, it was pouring with rain, your glasses were all steamed up.
Yeah, you know what? I absolutely love going to lower league grounds. I remember I went to Kidderminster a couple of years ago in the FA Cup, and the fans are just brilliant. It was giving me a bit of stick when they scored that wonderful strike, which the player can't actually claim because
was harsh on him, wasn't it?
It's an own goal. It was Donnelly, I think it was, who scored it. But just being there and being around the atmosphere, it's just brilliant. I love it. The only thing is, working pitch side is very difficult because you've got the fans making loads of noise, and I can, I have open talk back. For people who don't know what that is, it's basically when you see us with stuff in our ears, we've got producers talking about what's going to come next, etc., etc. But you can't hear a thing. You don't even know when your time is to shut up, or when it's time to fill, or what question is going to be asked. You sort of just like freestyling.
I've done that sometimes. I think pitch side on, say, an FA Cup final just after, and if you're at the side where the team that's won, do you remember we've done it with you, and we are, 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard apart, the three of you, and I can't hear what you're saying, so they have to boost the sound up in our ears so it comes through that way, but then you can't hear what the producers are saying because they're telling me, obviously they're saying, right, we need to get an interview now with Marcus Rashford, for example. And if you can't hear that, you need to hear it. It's like doing it blind. It's a bit scary at times.
It's chaos, isn't it?
It's chaos.
But I actually quite like the chaos. Is that a word? Chaosness of it?
I'm not sure.
Chaoticness.
It's very chaotic, yeah.
Yes, it's very
Bedlam.
Chaotic, shall we say. I thought it was going to be a good word there.
You might have invented a word, or it might be a word. I'm not sure. I've never heard anyone say chaoticness, but it could be. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
But they nearly equalised at the end as well, didn't he? What a chance.
Yeah, they
Last
really
minute.
did. Last minute, the defender comes up. I think it was Happy he just swung his left foot at it, and it wasn't meant to be. Kevin De Bruyne made a difference when he come on, though. When the game is stretched and open like that, his goal, he took it really well. Kushanov got the deflected early goal.
What do you make of City? It's hard to go in those games. They're a bit different, aren't they? Those away encounters with lower league teams.
Yeah, it's very hard because it's their final, isn't it? I thought Grealish had some good moments. I thought his pass for the De Bruyne goal was exquisite. I thought Gonzalez, the new signing who come off injured, looked really good at times. And I know he gave away the ball for Donnelly's finish, but he was pressing, he was aggressive. He had one 30-yard pass that just opened up Leyton Orient. I'm thinking, okay, this guy can play. But yeah, then he hobbled off injured, which is a concern because it's Madrid on Tuesday.
Yeah, I know. That's a monster game, isn't it?
It's a monster game. It's
hard to fancy City at the moment. Normally, City, Real Madrid, in the last 2 or 3, I know Madrid have had the edge generally in recent times. Although a couple of years ago when City won it, they gave Real Madrid a real spanking. But at the moment, you'd have to have Real Madrid as favourites, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they'll be favourites. I'm not too worried about the game itself because if you watch Real Madrid, they're having problems themselves.
They are
in terms of transition in the middle of the pitch. The one area I would worry if he was saving Mateus Nunes against an Mbappe or Vinicius or a Rodrigo down that left-hand side, that would worry me. But you'd like to think they're experienced players now, the Man City players. They'll get themselves up for a big game. I think Madrid are still favourites, but I don't think it's going to be a mauling like everyone thinks.
I agree. Did you see the Brighton game? Because I was driving back at that point, so I didn't manage to see it.
I just saw the highlights. I saw Mitoma's lovely little finish over the goalkeeper, but it was, by all accounts, it was strange because Chelsea just didn't turn up, which was weird.
They've had a real dip, haven't they, in the last month or so from where they were going. But I think we all thought that might happen at some point. Yeah, I mean, he said it himself, doesn't he? Maresca said it himself. We're not ready yet. We're not, but we're a work in progress. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. I mean, Chelsea are a great side to watch. I think they're still missing that cutting edge, maybe in forward areas. I rate Jackson. Obviously, Cole Palmer's been sensational this season, but they create so many chances and don't finish teams off. And if you don't finish teams off defensively, they're not that great.
Prior to this game, Brighton have been through a really tough patch, so that might boost them. Do you know they've never won a major trophy in their history? So
wow,
that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Once
you get to the fifth round, I always think you start going, you never know.
There's a chance.
I know you've only got to win 2 games to get to Wembley for the semi-final. Just need a good draw, don't you? It's always that one where a nice home draw in the 5th round. Makes all the difference. There'll be no 5th round for Leicester. I mean, I must say, that was an awful game of football. The quality of it was like, there was a lot of one-touch football. Man United had a touch, Leicester had a touch. Man United had a touch, Leicester had a touch. It wasn't great, but obviously I'm entitled to whinge at this offside decision. But I wasn't devastated because I'm thinking, I just can't see how Leicester could possibly win the FA Cup this season playing that way. But it was. I mean, I'm surprised he missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it was is because the 4th official or the linesman was stood right in the area. I could see right across the line. You think that would just be an easy one for him? But yeah, we're talking about referees again and bad decisions and. We talked about VAR so much, but I think VAR would have saved him, wouldn't it?
It would. I've always been a big fan of VAR. So, well, actually, with offsides, I think that's absolutely. Once with this new technology, which apparently is coming in, semi-automated is coming in before the end of the season.
Before the end of the season,
apparently, we'll see. Hopefully, I think they're testing it now. I don't know where, but they're testing it now. So. Yeah, came in a few weeks too late for Leicester.
But if you're going to be happy for one player, for all his injuries, his lack of form, like to still be playing, get the goal, I was happy for Harry.
Yeah, I was as well. He's a former Leicester man as well, and I think he's underrated at times as well. I think he's better. I mean. We all know he can be caught on the turn. He's not the quickest on the turn, but he's a great competitor. He's good on the ball. He's terrific in both boxes. Will get you the odd goal. He's never let his country down when he's played. He's always been excellent. So I'm not going to be too begrudging of him scoring, honestly. FA Cup again. But no, but we've won the FA Cup now, so it's not, we did it,
You've done it, you've been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done it. It might open up the FA Cup this season. We've got 3 of the current top 4 in the Premier League now out of the competition. City have not been at their best. So the normal favourites, it might be a season where we mentioned Brighton, someone like Newcastle as well. I've said to Alan, didn't I? Can you imagine if they won the double? God, he'll be. I don't think I could cope with it.
We can't deal with that.
I'm not sure. I'd quite like them to win one trophy. I think they 70 years. I think for their amazing fans, it would be brilliant. But he would be insufferable.
For Newcastle, we'd want it, but not for Alan. Horrible. Oh, it'd be horrible.
Well, don't forget the draw for the 5th round. The FA Cup is taking place tonight on the One Show. That starts at 7 o'clock. We'll be keeping a keen eye on that and hoping for some cracking ties to look forward to in early March. But for now, that's it. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.